wanna play, but you're never gonna beat me. Look the other way, what I'm doing ain't easy. Bloody hands stand from the people who deceive me. Muddy hands break through the chains, go free me. People as sheep move feet, hurt it easy. You don't wanna be fast asleep on the scheming. Better stand tall, ready for a fight, believe me. When they try the chains, you can say no, free me.
Welcome back, fellow warriors, to the stage of history. My name is Cosmo Jazz, and today we are talking about Street Fighter 6. Yes, the countdown that led for like a whole week finally led to this. And it became more and more apparent, if you were like me, waiting for the countdown to go down, that it was Street Fighter 6 because we kept waiting on the Capcom tour thingy to end after the fact. It was clear as day, to be honest. But I was kind of hoping it was going to be a Project X Zone thing where we can have a Capcom versus SNK versus Bandai Namco. But that's not here nor there. Right now we are talking Street Fighter 6. Now, let's get on to this. This is going to be kind of a, I don't want to say a rant thing, because there are going to be some points that you may or may not know that is happening with Street Fighter 6. But it is going to be my general ideas and discussions about what's coming from what we barely even know about this game. But what we can also pull from the 30-second trailer that they gave us. So let's start off with the probably biggest thing that there has been, which is the RE Engine. Now, that has been a kind of a talking point for a long time, I think almost like 4 or 5 years now, where they've been talking about maybe doing a more realistic version of Street Fighter 6 in the RE Engine. And there's also been tons of posts of people thinking of what it could actually make characters look like. Most of them gross, but I think with our first impression here, I actually love the way they look. Yes, Ryu right now looks like a brick house, or aka Chris take Ryu's body and now is learning how to do Shoryukens and Hadoukens and everything in between. But outside of that, I can honestly say with the so-called physics and stuff that they're showing, it's definitely an in-game stuff, I believe, that this is already going in the direction I think a lot of people are going to be happy about in the end product, that is. And besides, if we look back at Street Fighter 5 to the way it is now, it all looks different in the end product than it ever does in the first time we see it. So take this whatever first look with a grain of salt anyway. If you don't like it, it'll probably change to something you maybe do like. And if you do like it, don't get too attached maybe, because it might change a little bit even further down the line. Not for the worse, hopefully, but for the better. But I will say though that it does make me wonder how other characters like Zangief and Chun-Li and them are going to look. Because Zangief and them have always been kind of like weirdly proportioned and whatnot. And if you look at the small amount of what they showed with Luke with all his veins and everything like that, like imagine that on Zangief. Like I feel like that would look kind of crazy. Especially when he gets into supers. Because I think the last shots they're doing of Ryu and Luke are literally going to be kind of a thing of showing them doing it kind of activation or anything like that. So we'll have to see when comes summer 22 what that's all about. But if that's any indication of what they're going to be looking at activation and things and whatnot, it's going to be kind of crazy to see other characters get up close with all that realistic style to it and whatnot. And it kind of makes me wonder, because there was a couple of shots way back of how Street Fighter 6 was possibly, not Street Fighter 6, but another realistically Street Fighter was going to look like, which I'll show some picture around here. And it makes me wonder if we're maybe going to go back to that or something close to it, or are we going maybe not fully there, but about maybe like 50% there. Because if you look at these models, they're definitely going away from the anime kind of style and more towards the DMC 5 and the Resident Evil 2 and stuff. So it's going to be interesting to go see that going forward. But the other interesting thing I wanted to talk about this that you may not know is the fact that the Bayonetta 2 director, which I hope I don't mess up his name, Yusuke Hashimoto, is working on this actually. he was the developer of Bayonetta 2, so I kind of wonder what that could possibly mean for the future of the franchise, because it seems that they're trying to go more of the NRS route. At least they were with Street Fighter 5. We don't know anything about Street Fighter 6. This is pure speculation. But if they are going to do more story-based things, then he could definitely maybe help them with a better story arc than Street Fighter 5 had, because to be honest, Street Fighter 5's story was mid at best, and it wasn't really that good to me, honestly, in my opinion. But if we can get a better story arc person like that going along with it, maybe we could actually get some good writing and some good cutscenes and all this other stuff in this art style. I'm wondering what influence he's going to really have with the game itself. Like, are we going to see some hyper-realistic motions and everything? Are we going to see some really big arenas? The possibilities are endless on that front, as far as I'm concerned. But also, we have to talk about another thing that is going on with the game, which seems to be getting worse as time goes along, and that is the fact of the logo. The logo is absolute trash. Like, I mean, trash, capital T, trash. And apparently, there's been a thing that just got posted recently by a Twitter account known as ArtRich. I hope I'm saying that right. That apparently the logo itself is almost being sold for $80 on like some website, maybe Fiverr or something like that. I'm putting the post up here so you guys can see yourself. I don't know if this is true or not, so take this with a grain of salt. But if it is true, not only does Capcom have some explaining to do, but we really need to hopefully see that this is not the final product of the logo. Like, we really need to see what the real logo is. And it kind of makes me, I almost want to make a joke saying that the timer, it took so long for them to show everything because they forgot to actually make a logo at the end. It's just like, man, I can't wait for you guys to see this teaser. They're so ready for you to do. Yeah, wait, where's the logo? Like, crap. But yeah, so that's something that's possibly blowing up that you guys might want to look into down the line. Maybe follow ArtRich and stuff and whatever. I'll try to link some of the stuff that I've been finding down in the description box below, so you can automatically go to it and check out that kind of stuff if you're really interested in that. But that being said, I would like to also talk about what the implications of Luke and the bearded Ryu that we see could mean for the possibility of the roster of this game. Once again, pure speculation, but if I had to take a guess of everything that's going on here, I get the feeling that we're about to hit a third strike moment, if you will. And what I mean by that is that with Third Strike, we were moving into a quote new generation, haha, like wink wink nod nod and all this stuff. And I'm wondering if we're doing the same thing here with Luke going at the helm versus Ryu, who seems to be getting a little older, not exactly like too old for his steps. I mean, it's Ryu. We're not gonna have a Street Fighter without Ryu or Ken, like especially what happened after Third Strike. I don't think they're gonna make that mistake ever again. But I do wonder if the World Warriors are going to have a similar take as Ryu has, with something different about them. Like a different, older look to them. Like, we'll have a Chun-Li that maybe isn't going to wear her normal gowns and stuff like that, but like an updated version of her look. A Cammy with an updated leotard thing or whatever, I don't know. These are just like thoughts that have kind of come into being with me, but like at the same time, it also makes me wonder if we're also getting all the World Warriors again this time, and how many new characters we could possibly be seeing going into the future, because I'm sure Luke is not going to be the only one. And not only that, but I think that he's also an indication that we're also going to see some return favorites that are also of the younger variety coming in as well. That being like Elena, Makoto, Yoon, those guys. And it's going to be very interesting to see come the summer that if they are going this route, are we going into more of a third strike territory where Alex was the main protagonist of the story and he was the one who was really fighting the final boss and stuff, but instead it's maybe Luke this time, or whoever else character they make, or whatever that may be. Because if we look at the story of Street Fighter V, I feel like we've hit a peak with Ryu where he's finally come to the mastery level of himself, of learning how to truly control the Satsui no Hado within him. And he really used that to beat Nikali, one of the biggest jobbers of all time, and also Bison, who I might think might not make it into this game, but more on like roster stuff like that in another video. But I do wonder, because of the way the story took on there, that maybe they're thinking that it's time to move on, branch out, take a different approach to how we do the roster now. And it makes me also think that Street Fighter V's last thing was kind of their tale of what was working, what wasn't, when you bring in like older versus newer things, like when they brought Dan and Rose, and then they brought Akira, who's like pretty much has been brought for a while, but she's still on the younger side of things. But we'll go on more on that later in another video, like I was saying. But I do think that if we look at this from a very face value thing, this could be telling of us of the future of what we could possibly see for Street Fighter 6. Now, also that being said, I do wonder what kind of mechanics and stuff we're going to see in this. Because while I do love V-Trigger and the implication of it, I think V-Trigger, when you really got down to it, all it did was basically become either a giant combo extender thing, or you got your V-Trigger, you got your hit, and you got the kill. And that was it. And I felt like that was for every character almost. Or at least the ones we always kept seeing and doing it with stuff like that. And if it was anything outside of that, it wasn't that good. What I would want out of this personally is maybe more of a KI approach, to where the V-Trigger, if they brought this kind of V-Trigger thing back, that it would be very more unique to the character themselves, to the point where it wasn't like a instant win thing, you had to work for it, but it made the character different. Like how when you had, I'm trying to think of a perfect example. Let's just say Jago, for example. When he did, well, at one point during his iteration, when he had his instinct, he would get this whole ability of like having fireballs do bigger things and stuff like that and everything. And it gave him a new identity to his fighting thing as long as he had the meter there. So you would play him a little bit differently than you would normally. And same with Orchid, which you would have the Fire Cat, and it could be like an interruption thing or whatever to make things more safe, or you can use it, like I said, to actually add more damage and stuff. But it wasn't like an instant win, like combo extender, etc., etc., etc. Like, these are things that were unique to their character arcs to make them different in fighting and stuff, if it makes any sense in that aspect of way. So I would like that kind of thing maybe to Street Fighter if they go with this. Granted, I also am of the opinion that maybe we should do a whole new mechanic of itself, because we've had 5 years of this, and let's just bring on the new at that same time. But yeah, let me know what you guys would like to see down in the comments of like mechanic stuff wise and whatnot, because another thing I would like to see is multiple ultras, multiple supers and all that stuff. Maybe return to Street Fighter 4 where we can switch them up and things. have better utilities for some than others, but they also are both good. I know that's hard to balance, but I'm sure Capcom could possibly do it. And the last thing I wanted to talk about, which I know is a big no-no, and I'm probably gonna get flack for this, but hey, the more I hear about the idea, the more I'm kind of sold on the idea, and that is if maybe Street Fighter 6 should be free to play. And you can maybe get your favorite character or whatever if they go that route for the free to play, and then you can just enjoy the game the way you want to enjoy the game like that. I know that people don't like this because they automatically think of microtransactions and all this other kind of bad things that have kind of come with free to play stuff. In certain aspects, I do think that free to play model has come a long way to the point where these things that people are so afraid of are no longer really a thing anymore, unless the developer just is just like that greedy. Like for one thing, I know a friend of mine, when I was talking about a free to play model, they immediately went towards a game like Genshin Impact, where it was all gacha and stuff and whatnot, and that wouldn't be like this, because the free to play model I was more thinking of was, once back again, Killer Instinct, when they had you had a character you start off with like Jago, and then the way they did it was, I think every a week or a couple months, no, it had to be maybe a couple weeks to a month, where they would switch the character so you can have another flavor of whoever that is, and then if you wanted to, you could buy whatever character for whatever amount you want and just enjoy that character. Now, there's another thing I want to bring up with that also that has kind of come up with Tekken in particular. And I know they're two different games, but it could also fall onto this as well, is that a lot of people are seeming to have a problem with that kind of ideology in a fighting game because of the fact of labbing a character, which I think to mitigate that, you should be able to lab whoever you want. Instead of, you can't pick the character, but they should be able to say, like, in a simple select mode, have it so where you can go against that character and at least learn some things about them. I think that would mitigate that situation, in my opinion. And you're not really losing money, I don't think, for the company, because they still don't own the character. They can't play the character. They can only learn against that character. So I think that's a win-win if that's the situation, because a lot of the things in the Tekken community right now is that with the DLCs, they're so powerful and they feel like pay to win. And we have to pay for these things to lab against them is a big thing that I keep hearing about too. So I feel like that would mitigate that a bit. But I would love it to be free to play. Is it going to be free to play? Probably not. I really, really doubt it. But I do think that it would definitely help in the long run for sales and other things like that, because one thing I do want Street Fighter 6 to do, which is something that Max has kind of put some implementation on, and I'm with him on, I want it to succeed. I want it to succeed so well that Capcom can branch off into other things in the fighting games. I want my rival schools, I want my Power Stones, I want my Darkstalkers, which, by the way, support that port if you want that Darkstalkers to come back. They literally say these things of, we put this stuff out so that we can see if people like this. So if you really are a Darkstalkers fan, which I just saw in my Discord notifications, it has rollback. It says it on the Discord notification thing from them themselves. It has rollback. So if you want a Darkstalkers thing, please support it. But yeah, sorry about that, Red. That's not Street Fighter 6, but yeah, I do want Street Fighter 6 to succeed so that we can see more of stuff, more of this game, more of that game, because I love Street Fighter, but it's never been my favorite of the Capcom fighters, if that makes sense to you. But that's it for what I really want to talk about as far as Street Fighter 6 goes. I do want to do a list of maybe returning characters versus DLC characters versus non-returning characters, what I'll do in a separate video. And then I'll also do a maybe guest characters video. Top 5 guest characters to maybe come in. I think they might be looking at it, especially if you see once again how well it worked for Tekken. It maybe not. Who knows? But yeah, let me know what you guys think down in the comment section below. Are you excited for Street Fighter 6? What do you want for Street Fighter 6? Who do you want for Street Fighter 6? I personally want Karin. And I'm not gonna lie to you, because of Tekken 7. Once again, back to Tekken 7's experience. If I don't get my character, I'd probably be skipping Street Fighter 6. I'm not gonna lie to you, but that's a whole nother story in itself again. But yeah, let me know what you think down in the comment section below. And as always, ask yourself this one question: does your soul still burn? Bye guys, have a blessed day.